Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Aspiring Adult Podcast. Long time no see. Done a little bit of a hiatus for literally no reason, but today I have my friend Robert with me. Robert and I met at the Burbank International Film Festival. Working together there, but I'll let you introduce yourself. Robert, can you please tell the people about yourself?
Mic check. 1 2 1 2. I'm Robert Fisher. I'm an actor, photographer. Been in Los Angeles for about 11 years now. Moved out here to go to college. Graduated with my BFA and hit the ground running and just started working on sets and joined the motion picture industry.
Yeah. So, Robert, why don't you tell them about like all the jobs that you've been on recently?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So far, in the fall this year, I've been able to work on Abbott Elementary a couple of days. Worked on their Halloween episode, and I was the money man. My costume was the money man. I had like an embroidered leather jacket with like all these dollar bills on it. I had a green shirt. They gave me a fake dollar bill chain. Like the hair and makeup.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the hair and makeup ladies, they put like makeup, like a dollar sign across my face and in gold, and then they laced it with glitter. It was a full-on operation. And
I need to rewatch it and
Yeah.
like look out for you.
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so worked on Abbott recently, worked on Grey's Anatomy. I've been on Apple TV Plus's For All Mankind, which was cool. Their new season 5 is going to be having a lot of their characters like on Mars. So we were
Wow.
in a production set, and it was like basically built like a cave.
Oh, that's
And,
so cool.
Yeah, it was really awesome.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. Okay, so like you said, you're an actor, you're a working actor, and you're doing photography as well.
Mhm.
So when do you think that your love for acting and then photography as well started? And like, how did you decide, okay, I'm actually going to make this, my life's work, basically?
Yeah, so something I was thinking about sharing with you actually was I remember being in high school, and this is going to be like non-linear because I was in plays in elementary school and so on and so forth. But when I got to high school, there was a point where we would have substitute teachers, and I always took that as an opportunity to like check in with my real name so I wasn't marked absent, but also like, have them call me something else. So some days I'd be Greg, some days I'd be like Brad. But I would create these full-on characters and see if I could get the substitute teacher to believe it. And it was a really cool way to escape from just like whatever you didn't like about high school or class, or maybe you didn't like that teacher's class and you were happy they weren't there. So that I started playing with acting in real life situations. And I would every time I would watch a movie in high school, I'd be like, "Yo, I want to like pretend to be this character and see how I would feel behaving like this in my life." And then photography, I think that just has always been a natural thing. And I know that my mom got me a camera when I was in college, and when I was at film school, the head of the photography department didn't like the actors to come over there and use the equipment even though we were allowed to. So I think that fortified the interest, and then I got a digital camera for Christmas, and then kept shooting and just fell more in love with it. So I think that's really kind of a symbiotic way of how both of those came together.
That's awesome. I think it's cool that you like you were talking about how you just started acting in your day-to-day life, right?
Yeah.
And then that just kind of like evolved, I guess, into a love for, acting in projects. Is there any like either show or film that stood out to you or like that played a role maybe in like wanting to act in projects?
Yeah. In 7th grade, I had a sidekick. Those were really popular when I was in middle school, and I had a sidekick, and I had a teacher. My social studies teacher took the sidekick away from me, and around that time, my mom had just shown me Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time. Shout out to John
That's
Hughes.
Great movie.
Yup. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, The Breakfast Club, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Check that out if you haven't seen any of those. They're great movies. And I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off and was just like completely wowed by Matthew Broderick's charisma and the way that he like navigated through like school and just you could do no wrong. I mean, the guy took over a fucking parade, you know, and I was like, oh my God, he's skipping school. So anyway, the teacher took my phone, and I remember being heavily influenced by that movie to like try to get away with whatever I could in school. And the policy was, if you got your phone taken away on a Friday, the teacher could take it down to, I think, the main office, and the principal's office could keep it over the weekend. I didn't like that. So I went in her desk and took my phone, and my phone only, and left. And I raced home. She called home after she found out, and she left a message, and I got in trouble because I forgot to delete the message off of the answering machine. But that's how, like, because
Rookie mistake.
You know what I mean? And Ferris, you know, him almost getting caught at the end of that movie by Mr. Rooney, you know what I mean? The principal was like really symbiotic to how close I got to embodying my version of that in navigating the slippery slopes of like, okay, getting in trouble in school, but patching it up before you get home so that your parents don't know or whatever, but, you know, deleting the message off the answering machine.
That's hilarious. I think it's funny how, like, I mean, obviously we both love film, but I think it's interesting how it can, even like indirectly or like without you even noticing, how it can impact like how you act, or like it inspires you to like take action in some way for the better or worse.
Yeah.
But I think it's like super, like, I think it's super cool that like kind of, you know, translated into your real life. And then like, I just think it's hilarious. And Ferris Bueller's Day Off is obviously an awesome movie.
Yeah.
Like we said, anybody that hasn't seen it has to check it out.
It was a lot of fun, like, just to add like one more bit to that. It was a lot of fun, like, pretending like I really was Ferris and seeing how Robert's thoughts and his actions aligned with the caricature of that movie in situations as they arised up. I mean, just, you know, and I mean, if only I could have taken over a parade, that would have been awesome. Like, and just, you know, been the main event. Like that is such an iconic scene. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of you have these two like passions, right? Your photography, your acting, but I know you touched a little bit on like the fact that you moved here for college and then you started acting. But what is there anything like in your life or in your trajectory that has surprised you? Or what's the thing that's most surprised you about like either your career, or we could do both, like your career and your trajectory to getting where you are now, and also just like this stage of your life?
There's a couple of things. What has surprised me is my ability to really stay in it, and the love of it keeps me coming back to it. There's been times where I've been acting and I said, man, I don't think I want to do this, and I'll go get a job and hate the job and come back to it and just be like, oh, I'm home. I've experienced that. I've experienced having a business trip. This year was up at Santa Barbara filming a project, and I was up there for 8 days. We got per diem every day. We got money to drive up there, like travel expense, everything. I think about how I can't stop chasing what I'm after in the artistic fulfillment of acting and being on camera, and then seeing yourself in the art of storytelling, and then being able to share that with your friends, your family, and yourself. And you're at the end of the day, you're documenting your life. You get to see yourself when you were 21, 23, 25. Oh, wow. You had a different hairstyle. You know, I was in an acting class, and the assignment was to do something outlandish for that week. I had an afro at the time, and I dyed it like bleach blonde, and then I put a bunch of pink in it, and then next thing I knew, I was cast as like an alien or like a lower Hala person in Captain Marvel, filming at Sony Studios with Jude Law and Brie Larson in a subway scene. And it's moments like that. It was like, man, like if I could just keep going, you know what I mean? And that those things have pushed me, and just realizing I didn't move out here for anything. You know, I had a goal and I wanted to do it. Some people move out here to act and join SAG-AFTRA and become a professional actor, a working actor, and never achieve that goal because they give up, or the life gets in the way. They have a family. Certain things just happen. So I'm very grateful that I've been able to stay the course and keep doing it, because I just met a guy the other day. He told me, he said he quit doing this way back when. He said if he would have stayed in, he could only imagine where he would be today now. Mm-hmm.
I think that goes with the fact that you never know, like, what the thing that's gonna, like, I don't know how to say this, but, like, you never know what's, like, around the corner, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, we've talked about this, like, that passion for something, like, me and this podcast and you and acting, like, it comes and goes, but somehow we always come back to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much a thing of, like, anybody that wants or does or has a passion for, like, an artistic endeavor, I think, more than anything. I mean, obviously there's, like, I mean, it's probably true for other people, but I think that for people that are into the arts, it's much more, like, defined in that way. And I always say, like, I always tell my friend that it's, like, a blessing and a curse.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people are always telling me, like, man, I wish I was as passionate as you are about, like, about entertainment and about the arts and stuff. And I'm like, yes, but also sometimes you're just like, why am I doing this? Like, it's like, I don't know how to explain. I don't know if you agree. But
No, no. I had a conversation within the last month with a guy on set. He was, like, in the lighting department, and I liked the way he dressed. He was very, very professional, and he didn't look like just somebody who worked, like, in hard labor in that section of, the film industry. He almost looked like he was a principal actor, like, really clean cut. And I was like, man, what inspired your wardrobe and how you approach your job and the whole process? And he went through all these things about how he's gotten to this place where the way he gets up and lives his life is indicative of how the gift and the curse of this industry and the love of motion picture for him is. And he said just when he wants to leave, this thing has a way of pulling him right back in. And I feel the same way. I mean, there's times I literally want to go do something else in my life and question, why am I doing this? From sometimes the costume designer choices, or you got a funny pair of shoes on, or maybe the scene that you're filming is really, really either just taxing emotionally, or there's just a lot of things that go into that. But you always get recentered and come back to why you started. And there's good days that come along that remind you, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. This is why I signed up to do this. Like, those moments, I think, really, really ground you and bring you back, because it is a gift and a curse. There's days where it's not, it's cool, but it's not glamorous. So,
yeah, like you said, I think you have to really, really hold on to those moments and, like, always ask yourself, okay, like, why did I even, like, I think you need to go back and, like, realize why you're even doing this in the first place, or why you decided to, like, go into this field in the first place.
And there's something else that you just popped into my head based on what you said. At a certain point in my life, I realized I knew myself so well. I had the ability to play in my mind and explore what it's like to be another person. So with that being said, it was just like, okay, I know Robert so well. What would this being be if his name wasn't Robert and his name was Brad or Jamal, or I don't know, any other names? I mean, I was working at Mercedes-Benz doing valet out of college, and I used to tell all the people who would drive up their cars that my name was Scott White. And I started becoming this character like Scott White, and the service advisors would be like, hey, you got to tell them your name is Robert, because they're not going to know, like, they're dropping off their cars here. It's like this isn't a movie. Like, we get that you're an actor, but this isn't a movie. So it's intoxicating, because you discover really cool pockets about life using your imagination that way, and without harming people. It's all creative exploration.
Yeah. I think that's what's so cool about acting and, like, film, that you can really just, like, find a way to portray other people and in a way, like, understand them and make them feel understood. And that's, like, really, to me, the core of what, like, entertainment and, like, the arts are. Yeah. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I could talk about it for days.
Yeah. Like, sometimes I'm so inspired by my fellow actors and the other members of this guild, past, present. I was watching this film, The Deer Hunter, and Meryl Streep's in it, Robert De Niro's in it, Christopher Walken's in it. It's really them when they're young and before they even became the legendary actors and actresses that they are. And there's this scene in the kitchen where Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken are talking. They're getting ready to go on a deer hunting trip. And they were supposed to prepare certain supplies, whatever. And De Niro's character comes in and he's talking to Christopher Walken's character. And he says, did you do the thing? He said, no. And then De Niro asks him why. And Christopher Walken says, because I forgot. But it's the way he says, he says I forgot in a way like, I'm human, I forgot. Don't question why I forgot, and accept that I'm human enough to know that I forgot, and don't bring it up again. We're going to just patch it up and move forward. And I must have watched that scene like maybe 9 times in a row just to dissect the tonality, the movements, the turning around, the swinging of the shoulder. Like, how dare you ask me that? Like, all these little nuances that go into it. And it's just amazing to see how that can inspire. That movie came out in 1978. How that can inspire somebody to be a better actor in 2024. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there, speaking of like being inspired and seen, is there any movie that you watched like either as a kid or like when you were younger that made you feel seen in some way?
Oh, for sure. Coach Carter, when Samuel Jackson's the basketball coach for the Richmond basketball team in Richmond, California. And I just love basketball so much. I really wasn't good at it, but whenever I played it or played it organized it with my friends, I always had so much fun. I really do wish I was better at basketball, but no, I'm not kidding. When I was in the 3rd grade, the teacher had like us write whatever. What do you want to do? I said, I want to go to the NBA. And then it just got to a point where I just knew I wasn't going to play professional sports. And I was like, well, I'm going to go into the arts because I've always been talented with that. But yeah, I think Coach Carter for sure, because I watched that movie around the time I was in 5th grade where I really still was hanging on to the ability of thinking that I could do that as a career in a life. And he was pivotal in that movie because he taught those boys in high school on that team how to be men. He really did. I think in his performance and him as an actor and a human really helped them reach a new level as a team. The camaraderie and the trust that they all developed on that team. They didn't win the championship, spoiler alert, but they came really close, and how they walked off that court in those final scenes is something I'll always remember, because it's not about sometimes the destination. It's about, the journey that you went on to get there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's a movie that made me feel seen.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I guess now that we were talking about 5th grade you, how did you imagine yourself at this age when you were younger? Like, how did a middle school, high school you imagine yourself at this age?
Well, I can tell you what I didn't imagine. I'll answer. I thought that, I guess in middle school, I imagined me being at the age of 24 or at the age of 29, 27, just a different version of myself now. I think I'm more calm now. I thought that I would be like more into partying, or I think I thought I would have a nightlife of constance. Like, just constantly out, constantly going to this spot, bar hopping, almost like before I decided to go to film school, I was going to go to either Rutgers University, the University of Florida, or I was going to try to go to USC. Those were I wanted to go to a D1 school. So I always thought I was going to be like either the big man on campus, the man, those kinds of themes, and just have a huge network of people. I threw a couple parties in college. They were cool, but it wasn't what lived up to my imagination. So I hope that answers it in a way, but it's more so like I thought that I would be the imagination I had of myself at this age in my 20s was a little bit more, I guess like hardcore with partying and having a good time. I'm the complete opposite. I'm at home drinking tea, reading books, watching movies, writing, taking pictures, editing pictures. I'm nothing like what I imagined, what I thought my 20s would be, or what I would be like in my 20s.
Yeah. That I think that's a lot of like a lot of people think that when they're younger, they're like, my 20s are gonna be crazy. I'm gonna go him.
Then you become an adult. You get jobs. You know,
too.
you become responsible. Your awareness becomes heightened based on the things that you see in current events in the world that you live in, and you value your life a little bit more because you see the fragility of it as you get older, and you know, from losing people to watching people give birth to new people in this world. So I didn't know that I would become a warmer, more sensitive person towards the world. Like, you know, now if there's like a butterfly or a bug or something, I don't want to kill it. I just want to lift it with a cardboard and just take it outside, or just, you know, instead of squashing it, you know, I'm no longer that person. So, yeah, I care about the animals.
Would you say that when you were younger, you were kind of more, I don't know if brash or like rash is the word,
rambunctious. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So expand.
Okay. Yeah. So, like, was always getting, you know, calls home from the school, you know, kind of like, you know, got suspended from school from doing some dumb stuff every once in a while, or, you know, played a bunch of video games. My friends and I used to ride bikes without our helmets. Like, we were, you know, into just mischief, just trying to, I don't know, like, I think about all the times we were like, yo, let's try to go do this. Let's go to the mall. Let's do this. Let's go to the movie theater and try to do whatever, you know, and I think I just had a lot of fun. I partied hard, like in high school. I had a great time in high school and graduated and did everything I was supposed to do. But it was such a fun time, like junior and senior year and even sophomore year. Freshman year was like, oh, I'm in this new school. These kids are like 6'2", 6'4", 6'5". It's like, oh, they're like giants. And anyway, but yeah, Yeah. I think that was kind of like more so it. You know, me and my friends, we just tried to hang out and just, you know, we were inspired by a lot of movies we watched, like Juice with Tupac and like Omar Epps, and just a lot of core male friends hanging out, riding bikes, being outside, playing basketball. We played a lot of basketball. I think that's the saving grace in all this. We played a lot of basketball. Fought each other, all kind of stuff. I mean, you name it, man. But it makes you a stronger person. It informs you as to, you know, your adolescence and the adult that you want to be based on what you did in your teenage years that didn't go well, or taking things that went well and saying, you know what, I think I'm going to add this to the book and keep this going forward because this is how I want to be as I get older and enter the world as an adult.
Yeah, I think that's why your high school years are so important. Like, a lot of people will, well, not a lot of people, but like the cliche is, right, like these are the best 4 years of your life. I don't agree with that, but
me either.
But I think it's like very formative years of your life where you can like look back and think, okay, obviously I was a child, but it's also when you start getting much more conscious of like your actions and what you're doing and what kind of person you want to be. And I think that like I think a lot about like those years, and I'm like, and how can I be better, and how can I do better than that, or I don't know. There's like so much perspective to be had with like high school and even college. Yeah,
that's true. College was film school. When I went to film school, I didn't know that I would be with so many international students. Now, you mentioned how people always throw out, you know, high school is supposed to be the best 4 years of your life. I've always heard that, and college.
Yeah.
College, and that's where you make your lifelong friends. And because I had a lot of international classmates, they were here on a student visa. And then when the student visa expired, they had to return home to their country or find work here. So the thing that I took away was, okay, I might not have my domestic back of my hand friends here in LA after I went to college with them, but I have friends all over the world that we speak the same cinematic language with. We went to the same film boot camp with on a collegiate level. So they might not be here and I might not be there, but we all have friends in all these different countries, give or take. So if anybody is doing a project or if there's some like sort of reunion, it's more so international and worldwide. So that's one positive that I didn't know that I would get from film school. Whereas for a lot of the time, I looked at it as like, oh man, like everybody's going home. I have to start over again. But you never lose anything. Things just spread out and expand.
That's awesome. You never lose anything. They just spread out and expand.
Yeah.
I think like, yeah, I had a similar experience where like most of my friends went abroad for like college in high school, and so it was like I have to start over.
Oh yeah. It's daunting.
But I think it pushes you to like build more relationships, and I think it's cool to have all these relationships that are like expanded throughout the world. I don't know if you agree.
I do. I think, I don't know. I just think, you know, we're not just limited to America or whatever our origin native country would be. And just, you know, to travel is to broaden your horizons. And when you go places and you're forced to adapt to the culture and their time zone or learn their language to communicate at their local bakery and deli, those things matter, because when you go somewhere, it's not about where you're coming from, it's where you are. And people don't like when you don't adapt to their culture or speak their language. It's almost borderline offensive sometimes. And you want to treat people's cultures with respect. There's certain places in Italy, like you can't go in and order an espresso without speaking in Italian. They will ignore you or wave you off the line. I mean, I've seen it. So you want to be respectful, and it's fun to learn a different language and speak different cadences and understand the musicality of different languages. And when you're able to go visit your friends in different places after meeting them here or you meeting them where they're from, and you guys link up, it's almost like nothing's ever changed. So that I do like that feeling a lot.
Yeah, those are the best kinds of friends. I think, too.
Because you don't have to see each other talk all the time to know that you guys are really, really locked in and on a good friendship level.
Yeah. Where's the last place you've been to?
Oh, the last place I traveled to internationally. Well, the last place I traveled domestically was New York City.
Okay.
I was just there, and then I went to visit my family in Jersey and so on and so forth. But internationally, the last country I went to was Italy, and I flew home from Rome. On that trip, my mother planned the trip, and she invited a lot of her friends. I brought my girlfriend. My grandma came. She brought some of her senior friends. They all they loved it. They're all great. And there's such
Italy's great.
Yeah, they're like a sweet group of like old ladies just reminiscing like on life, looking like at the Coliseum on a bench and just gazing around like, oh my God, like, do you remember this, man? Anyway. So that's really sweet. But to see from a cinematic view as well. But the coolest part about being in Italy the last time was I brought a bunch of 35 millimeter film. All the other times I've been out of the country or traveled with my mom and been, out of America, I always just had my phone and my digital camera. So this time committing to film the whole way was a real experience, because all the photos I took I could not see until I got back to America. Right. Oh, yeah.
How did the film turn out?
Oh, it was great. And it made me feel like I expanded as a photographer, because I stayed so ever present in the moment and was just able to snap and continue to live. Snap and continue to live. Not losing that precious present time where you're like on the phone scrolling, or you take the picture on the digital camera and you
edit it.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no, click, trigger happy, and then it's like, I took too many of the same thing. Like, I can't take 1,000 pictures of like this or 500 pictures of the same thing. That's boring to me. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it makes you be more present.
It's kind of funny to me though, because when I had the digital camera, I used to just fire away at any and everything, and then get home and be like, I shot so much of the same stuff. I used to think that you got better by, standing, staring, clicking, looking down, resetting, fixing, and doing that over and over again. To a degree you can, but you have to go different places. You have to shoot different type of things. You have to figure out what your style and your approach is. And I think that helped me a lot, because I completely let myself photograph anything that I was visually arrested towards on a creative level internationally. So that really, I feel like I'm getting excited talking about it right now, but that was a really big highlight to international travel and being over there the last time in Italy.
That's awesome.
Uh-huh.
I had a question that just popped up in my head. What do you think? Because obviously photography and film are somewhat related, right? What do you think photography has taught you about film, or film about photography?
That's so funny. Just yesterday, they were making edits to the rigging and the lights because it needed to look a certain way. Let's say, for instance, the sun was shining up at 12 noon. That's the apex. And then it starts to go down like almost like the clock, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. They were dimming the lights in like thirds and, okay, bring down 15, 16, 30%, and the light would dim. And then cinematographers and lighting, they use their hands a lot, and they'll put their hand up almost like to the sun or the ceiling and the lighting and do palm readings based on how the light fades off of the top of their palm. I've done that when I've been shooting somebody with a portrait session to see if I should move the light closer or further away from them. I incorporated a lot of themes in our shoot that we did.
Oh, yeah.
And tips and tricks that I've seen. That Tiffin filter in the photo that we have together, where I'm facing the camera, that actually goes into a an actual like camera, motion picture camera rig. And Tiffin, I got that from a buddy in college who got that from his cinematography teacher. He gifted that to me after we graduated. I took that. I said, I used to hold that big rectangle up to my camera. I said, let me go on Tiffin's website. I bought Tiffin filters that screw into my actual film camera and have used the yellow one, the red one, all kind of things. And it has enhanced my wealth of knowledge when it comes to lights, neon lights, colors, how to read, how to understand how different light lands on different people's skin, all kind of stuff. So I've taken a lot of things from set, even the way women do their hair, and the type of projects I want to cast as far as photographing real authentic moments. They have to be connected to who that person is, what they're going through, where they are in life, and in some cases, you know the person, you know their favorite color, you know, and all these little things. You incorporate all that into it. All of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. I have 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
So my kind of wrap up question is, what are you overcoming and then / like looking forward to?
I'm overcoming anxiety and just learning to breathe and be a little bit more calm and present in the moment. I think that's something that is really worth sharing, and just kind of being blindly, blatantly confident about anything I feel connected to.
Blatantly confident.
Yep.
I love that.
Me
and
too.
I need to be more like that too, because I'm also a really anxious person.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't want to lose out on the nuance of life by like, kind of self-suffocating yourself. You're walking down the street, your abdomen's all tight, you feel like you can't breathe, but it's a beautiful day. Just the fear of having a fear of nothing. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of, and I just wish that I could remember that a little bit more, and I'm working on that, and just preparing. When I prepare, it doesn't matter what it is that I'm working on. The more I'm prepared, the more confident that I'm allowed to feel that doesn't feel inauthentic to what it is that my approach is. It could be photography. Before I have a shoot, I'm always like watching either old photographers talk about their approach to their night before their shoot, or what they would have done on a second turnaround. I'm looking at different lenses. I'm understanding different lighting patterns and techniques. There's an idea. I thought of this idea. I haven't done it yet, but I want to take aluminum foil and poke a bunch of holes in the foil with a toothpick and have the foil wrapped around the light so that the lights kind of come out in these little mini strobes, and have somebody catacombed like off of that, and it hits their face. And you just get arrested on such visual levels with this stuff. You almost have to write this stuff down, because it'll either live in you and drive you nuts, or you'll do it. You didn't do it. You want to execute it again better, or you'll forget it. And forgetting it's the worst, because you try to remember and then it's gone. It's gone.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm overcoming, and I think what I'm looking forward to is really, really being a little bit more invested in the motion picture side of things, booking jobs, building this budding career of mine, and I'm working on getting a Super 8 camera to shoot some motion picture film and have that developed at a photo lab to see if I can really do my ideas of like my still photography on motion picture to see how that stuff would come out, because I think that is going to determine if I want to shoot my feature length movies on motion picture film versus shoot them digital.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that reminds me. Last time we like met,
Mm-hmm.
you said that you wanted to get more into directing.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still the case. And I was just talking about that earlier this week. I talk about it a lot to basically whoever really will listen, who really I can feel has a love for cinematic conversations and the pushing of making this thing we call art better. What are we adding to it? What stories can we tell that haven't been told yet? How can we stylistically approach these mood boards of this stuff? What are the women going to wear? How are the textures of the clothing going to look with the backdrops? All this stuff. You can't stop thinking about it. You ponder and pontificate about this stuff to no end. It almost is maddening. So I've started writing because if I'm going to direct, I realize that I need to know the material like the front and back of my hand.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm in the process of screenwriting and doing little scenes and writing bigger scripts and trying to figure out my style with the screenwriting so that I don't have to do so much talking and that it's on the page. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I can't wait to see what you do with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have my last question / like set of this interview, and this is just free range. So what is it, something that you want to rant about?
Yo, I want to rant about people staring at people and not saying anything. I think that is so rude, and I think that if you want to talk to somebody because you're looking at them, you should say hi. I was recently ogled, and I couldn't tell if the person they liked my shirt. They knew me from somewhere. If I was familiar, I just couldn't gauge what it was. Yo, if you out there and you have, you see somebody, say something. Be polite, be respectful. Don't stare at people. Don't do any of that. Don't be a weirdo. Just say hello. People are people. And people, let me tell you something. People are happy. Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, Alexandra. Hey, Robert. How you doing? I'm good. It's so good to see you. It's good to be seen. Like, people like to be seen and acknowledged. So if you're out there and you have a friend or you see somebody, you can make a friend at your local coffee shop. Let somebody cut the fucking line sometimes. Or ask somebody, do they get the same order every time? Or if you're standing next to somebody, whatever, ask them a dumb question like, when you fly, do you prefer the window or the aisle? Because nobody likes the middle. So, just try to connect with people. Stop staring.
That I kind of have, my mom tells me I have a problem with staring at people. And she's like, and I think I kind of had this problem yesterday where I was like debating because I was like at a coffee shop and I needed like I forgot to get a spoon for the pastry that I got.
Hell yeah.
Anyways. And so I needed somebody to watch my stuff. So I was like looking at these people and then they were like rolling a joint.
Wow.
And so they were like, oh, is this bothering you? And I was like, oh, no. Can you watch my stuff? And they were like, oh, I just thought because you were, and I was like, no, yeah, I just needed somebody.
That's fine. Just make sure somebody doesn't steal my stuff. Yeah.
I was like, they thought I was like annoyed with them when I really was just staring at them to debate if I could ask them to watch my things. I
got you.
And no, and that point where you're like, I was talking about this with my friend yesterday because she says that she goes to the gym a lot. Oh. And she says that she wants like female friends to go to the gym with.
Fit buddies.
Yes. Fitness buddies. And she was telling me, oh, there's this girl that always comes in, but I don't know how to approach her. And I think I've like worked on this a lot in my personal life where I've started giving less of a fuck if I look creepy. Going up to somebody and being like, hey, I like your shirt. Or, like, what is somebody going to say to a compliment? Ew, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, I don't know. Just tell her you like her set or tell her, I don't know. Yeah. Like, literally anything. And worst comes to worst, they could just be like, thanks.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, read that. I'm done. I'm just going to go home then. But I feel like even randomly, I saw this girl randomly walking on the street, and she had a Harry Styles shirt from the same concert that I went to, and I was wearing the shirt too. Like, we were wearing the same shirt.
Oh shit!
So I went up to her and I was like, "Hey, like, look, we're wearing the same shirt." And I talked to her a little bit, and we were going to the same parking lot. Didn't end up like making a friend or anything,
right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
think, like, it, who knows? It could have been a friend.
I think it was cool because it was worth a moment. You know what I mean? And the moment could have turned into something else. And I was just having this conversation, like, and this goes hand in hand with what you were saying about not like being concerned with how much of a creep you look like, because you can either make somebody's day or somebody could really need some uplifting. You never know what somebody's going through. And if it's positive, then lead with that. You know what I mean? So I've had to get over that overthinking, because just yesterday I saw someone that I was working with, and I said, you know, I wonder, they're pretty photogenic. I wonder if they'd like to sit for, you know, some headshots or just pose for black and white film or something. And I just walked up to the woman. I introduced myself, said, "Hi, I'm Robert. I'm on the set. We're working together. I just wanted to introduce myself as a photographer. We're here acting, but I do photography outside of this, and I would really love to capture your likeness and image one day." And I got her to look at my website. Was really nice about it. She was really nice about it. She agreed to do it. We'll schedule it. But imagine if I would have just sat in the corner and just looked at her, or, you know, been like, "Oh, you know, I wonder what it's like to shoot her." Go see. Go introduce yourself. The worst thing somebody's going to say is no. And I think people like to be acknowledged in a way where they know they add value to the optics of the world that they live in. Not necessarily other people's lives, because that's personal. And they can get that way, or just you can develop a friendship over time. But the coolest thing is just when people, they're approached by somebody, it's always a good feeling to be acknowledged before it reaches a point of annoyance. Yeah, it's endearing when people take you in and, "Oh, this person's she's a great photographer. Oh, wow, she's a great writer. Oh, she reads books and she has great takes." Like if you read a bunch of books and you started reviewing books, people would look to you for that. Or if you were a food critic, they say, "Oh, I'm going to go eat at this restaurant. Alex said their food's really good. She hasn't missed yet." You know, those things. So
yeah. And you never know, like, I think part of that is, I saw this girl who said that she was practicing rejection therapy.
Oh, wow.
Because the more rejected she gets, the more she's closer to, like, an opportunity. I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
It does make sense. It gives her like this bulletproof armor to just get through life and get closer to what she's trying to go for.
Exactly.
Without the fear of not getting it.
Exactly. Because if you're less scared about rejection, then you're more willing to, like, try things. And it's what we were saying, like, you never know where something's going to lead to. You know?
Yeah.
And I think I need to take that advice. But
yeah. And I always keep hearing this. Rejection, or like a no, means you're that much closer to the bigger blessing of the yes that is on the way to you or en route to you. And we all struggle with it. I have to be more patient. I have to let the seeds that I've planted blossom.
Yes.
Without digging up the dirt to see if they've started to sprout.
Oh my God.
You know, and
without staring at it.
Oh my God. You know, and overwatering it. You know, and relationships are like plants. Like, you can't forget about them and not water them because they'll die. And then you can't overwater them because then you'll technically drown the plant and drown the person, and then it becomes too much. So you got to check in just enough, like, "Hey, thought about you today, wanted to see how you were doing, long time no see. Hey, come down, hang this weekend. Hey, what you been working on? What's going on?" You know, it's okay. And I've had to do that. It's not a bother to keep in touch with people. It's really weird when you want to keep in touch with somebody but you never hit them up, and then that's how the relationship fades. So society's got to surge down so people can stop overthinking and less anxiety can be here. But I think all that's dissipating now that the pandemic's over and we're all outside again. So thank God for that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Robert, I think we can start wrapping this up. But is there anything else that you want to say before we do?
HardYellowLights.com. HardYellowLights.com. Check out the site. Check out the photos.
Yes.
You guys can follow me on Instagram at Rob Dollars. That's ROBDOLLAS. Rob Dollars. Robert Fisher was taken. And who doesn't like money that's named Robert? So bingo,
True.
was his name-o. And I think that's pretty much it. If you haven't visited Los Angeles, come check it out. It's a wonderful city. The Dodgers just won the World Series.
They did.
Got the world-famous Los Angeles Lakers here. There's a bunch of cool vegan restaurants. 2024 was interesting. 2025 is going to be great for Alex, for Robert,
Yes.
for you guys. And keep a good thought. Be positive. And I think that's kind of how I'd like to be remembered as my exit on this thing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, amazing. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on, and thanks everyone for listening. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye.